Welcome, everybody, to the next level. I'm your host, Brian Daniels, and I'm joined by my two co-hosts. We got Josh Thunder Shaver down there.
Yo.
And we got my man Eric down here. Huge wrestling mark. You're such a fucking mark, dude. And we're joined by Adolfo Dorta, a good friend of mine, and one of the owners of Squared Circle Expo. And Adolfo, it's so great to have you here with us, man. How you doing, man?
Pretty good, man. Thanks for having me.
Hey, always, man. So what this episode's about is we're going to talk with Adolfo all about the upcoming Squared Circle Expo 3 in April. That's not that long from now. This was a few weeks, really, coming up here. It's going to be in Indianapolis, the Wyndham West Hotel. But before we get into that, we got an ad to do here. I want to talk about our good folks over at ExpressVPN. What a VPN is a virtual private network. And it protects your information online, protects you from getting DDoS if you're gaming and things like that, keeps your information safe and secure from the tons of criminals that are out there trying to steal your personal information, such as your social security number, bank account information, all that stuff you just don't want anybody else to have. Right now, you can go to expressvpn.com/the next level to get 3 months included with a 12-month membership. So you get 15 months, 3 of those months for free. You can go to expressvpn.com/the next level. You can sign up for that right now. So let's get into this conversation with you, Adolfo.
You know what? Can you just give me one quick second? I got like an eyelash in my eye right when we started, and I don't want to keep blinking and have your viewers think I'm on something weird. So
no, it's all good.
There we go.
It's all good, man. You're good.
All right, we're good. Now we're extra good.
Yeah, for sure. So this is your 3rd year back in Indianapolis doing Squared Circle Expo 3. And you guys have just really, what I love about this show is that you guys build upon it year after year. Granted, you've only done 2 shows. I feel like you guys have already done so much already, providing a nice little 2-day show for people. And you guys have also provided a really awesome wrestling card to go with it after. I believe it's your Saturday show you guys did. Last 2 years, you had a really awesome wrestling show you guys put together. A lot of things are different. A few things are different this time around. We're going to get into those things with you, Adolfo. But I got to know, man, what's it been like planning this show for you guys since last show?
You know, it's actually been surprisingly easier.
Nice.
And I think that's just from our team learning, getting a couple of shows under their belts. I've done this for quite some time, as you know. Yep. Ed's been doing conventions in a different capacity, and he has been doing wrestling for most of his life, as has Heather. Mm-hmm. But I think Ed and Heather, as far as promoters go in the convention realm, have really come into their own on this show. And I've always had the problem where I feel like I'm the hardest worker on the team, mm-hmm. and therefore I carry a lot of the stress of things going the way they should.
For sure.
But I gotta say, I don't think that's longer true. I mean, Ed has been busting his ass this show. Heather has been busting her ass, and everybody now is operating at such a level. Like I feel like I can hang back and do other things. I feel like I don't have to suffocate the show and have my hands on it all the time, because I know that I could sit back for a little bit when the shoot life and the shoot job get in the way. And Ed and Heather got it taken care of. Jeremy and Troy, our volunteer coordinators, absolutely killing it. Every other member of the volunteer team too.
Yeah.
They've just been doing such a good job, and they've really used the last 2 shows as experience to build on to, where now it's just a well-oiled machine that, where everybody knows their role, and it feels so natural. And it's been a blast. I had a lot of fun planning the last one, but I feel like it took a couple of years off my life. This one has been easy breezy, and I don't say it like it hasn't been a lot of work. It has been a ton of work, more work than the last show.
Of course.
But those frustrations that make it less fun have been minimal.
That's good. Yeah, I mean, I can imagine too. You're like you said just a minute ago. You're no stranger to this convention thing. You've been doing this for a long time, and I know that when you were in that particular, when you were in the horror scene, which is a completely different element, I would imagine, from the pro wrestling scene. How did that those years of experience working in that particular scene, or even just doing convention, how did that help you out in this different capacity, if you will, right?
I think marketing is marketing. I think promotions are promotions. I think event management is event management. I've been doing events in one capacity or another since I was like 18 years old.
Oh, wow.
Putting together like local punk shows down in my home state, my hometown of Miami, Florida.
Yeah.
When there was no venues that would play the kind of music that we were listening to,
right,
we went ahead and found places to make it happen. And I carried that over into the convention scene. I was a big horror convention fan. I went to a lot of conventions when, I was kind of looking around and thought that there was something I could add to it, and the opportunity presented itself. We jumped in, and we went for 10 years in a different company, and I think that was great. I think that was a great experience. Since then, I've been in animal welfare, and I've done a lot of event management and marketing, and I'm currently a shelter manager for cat rescue just outside of Seattle.
Nice.
And all of those things tie in, all of those things where you learn skills, how to deal with people, you learn how to present, how to communicate, how to manage your time, how to organize, all of that, everything that I've done from, when I was passing out flyers for bands at 18, all the way to now having this mega show in Circle Expo. You learn things along the way, and everything is valuable. Everything is a lesson. Everything is something you could apply to the next thing you do.
Had you ever attended any wrestling expos or conventions before you started doing your own show?
Well, there's not a lot of wrestling conventions, right? So I've attended wrestling shows for sure. I've attended quite a few wrestling shows, both big WWE shows and some indie stuff for sure, but never a wrestling convention. Out in Florida, there was certainly nothing like this. In the Midwest, there's a handful, but nothing that ever really struck my fancy or kind of had me interested enough to make the drive. I know Wizard World and C2E2 occasionally booked some wrestling guests, and I met a few people through those avenues. But as far as a strictly wrestling convention, it's a fairly untapped market, not only nationwide but in the Midwest, at least in the way that we do it. Oftentimes, as you probably know, wrestling shows are essentially they'll have the ring show, and everything will kind of be built around that.
Oh, for sure.
They'll have like a half dozen people maybe that come in to sign, legends or former superstars or whatever, and they'll sign for a couple hours before the show in a hall, and then you'll have the show, and that's it. And it's kind of like a 4 to 5 hour thing, whereas we are an entire weekend dedicated to all things wrestling. A lot of people have been kind of discovering the show with this third one, and they say, oh, so it's like a Comic-Con for wrestling. And it's like, yeah, that's pretty much the best way to put it.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I really have enjoyed the time that I've spent going and attending the last 2 shows you've had in Indianapolis. I have a question though too. What was Indianapolis? What made you? I know that I kind of know the answer to this, but I want to hear it coming from you. What made you specifically choose Indianapolis versus, like, say, Chicago or New York, or even out in the West Coast? I know you're out in Washington State up there. Why specifically Indianapolis for a wrestling expo to begin with?
So for us, it came down to Chicago and Indianapolis. Those are the 2 cities that we were most familiar with. We've done shows in both of those cities. We had a long relationship with the Wyndham under my previous convention business, whatever you want to call it. And then we had some pretty good relationships in Chicago. And it came down to the Wyndham approaching us with a really good offer, and us really liking that space too, because if you've been you have been in that room where we have our ring show, it's got those nice high 16-foot tall ceilings. It's a big 10,000 square foot space.
It is. It's a very nice space.
Right. You could put 820 people in that building.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, it's bigger than most of the places that some of the larger indies run.
For sure.
So it had everything that we wanted. And so when the Wyndham hit us up, and they knew that I wasn't involved with the former convention anymore, but they said, if you ever do anything again, let us know. We want to be a part of it. And we hadn't approached them. They sort of saw us kind of, they heard through the grapevine through a couple of friends that we were sort of trying to get back into it, which, you know, it was amazing on their part because we had pretty much tried to keep it as much of a secret as possible. But people talk, and they found out we were maybe looking to do something new, and they hit us up and said, hey, can we be a part of it? And so we took that meeting, and they gave us the pitch, and it was really nice. And so we're at the Wyndham.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, the Wyndham is a really great spot. You know, I know you're not, like you said, you're no stranger to that location at all. I mean, you've done shows there before, you know, and it's a good spot. It's a really great spot, and it's a nice little intimate place, really. I mean, you don't need to be, and I think for what you guys are trying to accomplish there, it's just the perfect place, really, to have what you need, especially for a wrestling show, which I never imagined watching a wrestling show there. That was pretty cool.
You know,
that was pretty great.
They used to do MMA shows in there. I don't know, maybe they still do. When I was running with the other show, they used to do boxing shows. They used to do MMA shows in that same space. So we knew that it worked. We knew that they had experience doing it. You just replace like a boxing ring with a wrestling ring, and you can kind of set it up sort of the same. You know, and that's a big part of it. Like, you know, we've started to kind of have these preliminary talks with how quickly the show is growing, that, you know, maybe in the next year or two, we may have to start looking for someplace bigger. But I don't know. I don't really want to go the convention center route because honestly, I kind of think those shows are a little boring. It is what it is. It's just not my cup of tea. I like being able to have a party on site. I like to be able to stay where the action is. I like to be able to go up to my room, take a break, have my things there. The convention center vibe has never been something I'm a big fan of. So we really like it at the Wyndham. I think we're kind of getting to that point where we might be outgrowing it, but you know, maybe we just cap the show and we just have it be the size that it is, and we don't grow further. I mean, and that's okay too. I mean, we're not trying to do any more than what we're doing, and just giving the fans a good time and putting on a good product. And we don't want to sacrifice the quality of the show. We're trying to get bigger and trying to be this thing that we're not.
No, I completely agree. I mean, honestly, you guys you tend to have a pretty good understanding of where you're at when it comes to how big your show is. And you have that very good sense of self-awareness. I mean, you, like, as you said before, I mean, having that, you know, experience of doing this before obviously helps. So this is not like your first rodeo, right? And let's talk about what it's like getting the guests at your show. So when you guys are planning in the planning process of a next convention, I have a couple questions. So first, how early do you start? It's like from the end of Squared Circle Expo to when do you guys start planning the next one? And do you already have an idea of like who you're targeting to have appear at your show? Like, what's that process like?
You know, so last year, from the first to the second one, and I think it's just from the excitement of it, you know, we got right back into planning it right away. But you quickly learn that, you know, 8 months time, even 6 months time is an eternity in the wrestling business. I mean, hell, you can even say that about 2 or 3 months time. People are getting hired, fired, changing organizations, changing promotions all the time. Injuries happen, you know, new contracts happen. So there's so many things that are going on, especially if you're pursuing talent that's still working. That you know, starting right after the last one kind of doesn't make a lot of sense. So we took the summer off, which is phenomenal. I mean, I can't tell you how awesome it is to before, you know, when I was doing 4 shows a year, you'd end one and you go right back into another one. I mean, being able to take the whole summer off without talking about convention planning or opening an email or any of that, I love it. Chef's kiss. But we kind of like took the summer off right around like maybe August or so. Check in. It's like, all right, so we're gonna do this again. Who are we thinking? And we'll toss around a couple of names that we want to start out with, that we want to maybe like plant the show on, and then start sending out feelers. And most of the guests aren't really going to get back to you till honestly like late November, early December, which is when we started really rocking and rolling with the announcements. So we sort of just started kind of planning the other stuff, are we going to change anything with our vendor layout? Are we going to change anything with our tickets? Are we going to do anything different with the ring show? And just kind of start spitballing ideas. The real meat and potatoes work starts happening in November, December, which is a pretty nice time off in between shows. But once you get rolling, you get rolling pretty hard.
For sure.
So as far as the planning with the guests, you start you start reaching out closer to the fall, and people start getting back to you. And we were lucky to sort of get the big fish that we wanted. We wanted MJF. It was sort of between him and somebody else who I'm not going to say who it is, because maybe we'll do that person next time. Okay. But Ed and I were like, okay, so we got to go all in on somebody. Is it this person or MJF? And we're just both really huge fans of what MJF is doing. And we went MJF, and he wasn't even, he was big then. He's stratospheric now. And the other person that we were going to go all in for is like an all-time legend. So I feel like it was a little bit of a gamble at the moment back in, July or August, whenever we made that call, but it's worked out great, and I'm super excited to work with him, even if he is a dick.
Right. I'm glad you made that choice. I'm very happy.
Which I'm his manager said, hey, just so you know, that's him all the time. Like it doesn't turn off. It doesn't, like, there's no like just be ready. And there's nothing that, we're not toning it down. He certainly won't go for that. So just so you know, like, let your staff know, let the volunteers know he is who he is. Yeah. And what you see on TV is what you're going to get.
The big question is, Adolfo, do you have pickles for him?
No, we don't keep pickles in my house because my wife hates them. So somebody else will have to bring them some pickles.
Yeah, we're super excited. I actually, you had made a post last night about you've already sold through 75% of his photo ops.
Wow.
I picked one up, so I'm excited.
Yeah.
Get to meet the man. He's definitely like, he brings back that old school kayfabe heel.
He does.
He keeps it real.
Professional wrestling.
Yeah, he's got that nuclear heat. I mean, even like with the whole car accident bit that he did was just so genius that man. They got like police involved. Like, people are calling like, when was the last time you heard some shit like that? You know, like, especially in the era of the internet, it's so hard to keep any aspect of yourself private. So like, you got to imagine for this guy to, whether it's him all the time or it's just a really well played gimmick. I mean, he's struck gold with it, and he is committed, because at any time somebody could have a phone, somebody can have, we all have recording devices in our pockets. We all have cameras in our pockets. It's just that takes that one split second of messing up, and like, click, you've got him, exposed. But he protects his gimmick so well. It's some shit like you used to see back in the territory days, or that you hear about, rather, because I don't know if most of us probably weren't born back then.
He would have been great for the NWO. Just think about how they protected their stuff back in 96, 97.
Oh man,
he'd been great back in that era.
For sure. And speaking of the people that you've got here,
man,
I mean, you guys have over 60 superstars, past and present, coming in.
And we tried really hard to not. Last year we ended up with 69, even with nice. Even with Lucha Bros canceling at the last minute, and canceling at the last minute, we still ended up with 69. And we were like, man, that was probably too much. we should maybe tone it down a little bit.
Mm.
And so we the show booked like 10 or 15 less guests, but as you know, with like wrestling shows, vendors will bring in their own guests.
Yeah.
And then
Right.
we're getting calls from a lot of our sponsors wanting to bring in guests, like Collar and Elbows bringing in some people that we still haven't even announced.
Nice.
NWA, they ended up pulling out because they're going to run a show on Friday, but they were going to have some space and they were going to bring in some people. Everybody has jumped on this third show in ways that we would have never imagined. Like that happened between SEX1 and SEX2, and then SEX3. It's like, holy cow! I mean, everybody wants to be a part of it. It's mind blowing. We're very blessed. We're very thankful for it. But yeah, there's a lot of we didn't keep it under 60 this time either, guys.
Oh my God.
No, that's fine. I mean,
man, that's terrible.
I mean, the thing too is like, for the space you have, I know you guys really want to go all out, but you know you're very aware of where you guys are and your location and things like that. And it's just like even the layout you guys do with the vendor room that you guys have, and you have a separate guest room. I mean, it's you're not trying to like put everybody in one space. And I like that, like I know last year in the year before that, you guys had like Jeff Jarrett was out there with the vendors, and you kind of sprinkled in some guests here and there, and then you had like Sabu there with one of the vendors and stuff. I like the way you guys do that, and that as someone that reviews so many conventions throughout the year, I really appreciate that you guys try to do this layout some justice.
I mean, and even this year we're kind of making tweaks over last year. Even last year we didn't predict the amount of walk-ups we were going to have, and on Saturday particularly, as you probably know, it got a little dicey when we were waiting on Hangman and Adam Cole to come down, and their lines got really long, and it got a little stressful there for a second. But that sort of things happen. Those sorts of things happen every show.
Oh yeah.
Even the best laid plans can't predict everything.
Yeah.
And I'm just happy those guys were such good sports. They were literally slamming themselves through tables. Just a few hours earlier, they got on that red eye from Dallas. Yeah. Made it to Indianapolis, crashed for a few hours, and got right back on the floor, bumps and all.
Yeah, I mean, it's just impressive with the list. I mean, you've got like Brian Pillman Jr. is coming back. You got Devon. That's pretty great because he doesn't make a whole lot of appearances. He's there. I'm looking. You got Bushwhacker Luke, Carlito,
Super Shredder.
You've got Demolition, which is great. That's for those people that were big fans of WWE back in the 80s and 90s. I'm just kind of scrolling through Ethan Page.
My girlfriend is excited about this list.
I mean, you have done a really great job.
Yeah.
I mean,
Don't forget the greatest group ever, BWO.
You guys got Lita, who's currently the women's tag team champion right now with Becky Lynch and WWE. And we'll see how long that happens. Maybe she'll still have that belt when she comes. And of course, the AEW World Champion himself, Mr. MJF. But like, this is such a nice mix, if you will, of people that some might not know who everybody is, but some as fans are gonna know who some of these people are. I mean,
like me, for instance, I'm really excited. Well, like me, for instance, I'm really excited to meet Ethan Page in person because we do the same thing. Talk about toys on the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. He wrestles, and I used to could wrestle, but no, it's not toys.
Yeah. So we got something different you guys are doing this year. We're going to talk about is your partnership with the Premier Streaming Network. Let's talk about this, Adolfo.
Yeah.
You guys are going to be streaming the event. How's that going to work? I mean, what was that like partnering up with them? They do a lot of wrestling stuff. They're known for that. How did you guys go about that partnership, and what can people kind of expect when they want to watch this, watch the convention take place?
Yeah. So, the way that came out, our buddy Dave Harrow, who works out of Wisconsin with GLCW, he kind of put our name in in the ear of the Premiere guys. You know, the team that did Premiere, for those that don't know, they had a big hand in the WWE network. They had a big hand in UFC Fight Pass, so they're no strangers. They're not like
Definitely not
some dudes that just came into the game all of a sudden. They've been in the streaming business in one capacity or another for a good long while, and they were working with Fight for a good bit too. They actually had a hand partially in putting together the Ric Flair's last match and the whole Starcast and that production. And so after that, they kind of decided to branch off and start their own thing. And they were looking for someone to be like their Starcast, you know, having like this flagship convention. And Dave Harrow said, "Well, have you heard of the Squared Circle Expo? And have you talked to those guys?" And they had kind of heard of us, but not really looked into it too hard. And so they started to do the research on us and just sort of follow our Facebook and check out the website and look up on YouTube some of the old things that we did. And they got really excited, and they asked us for a meeting, and we had a couple of meetings with them. And I liked everything that I heard. It was super awesome. We had been kind of in talks with somebody else to do something similar.
Right.
And then for a while, it was very short-lived, but, you know, we were sort of toying with the idea of SCX Media, which, you know, we never really got off the ground because we were still kind of in the planning phases. And just as we were kind of looking to get rolling with that, the Premiere thing came in, so we put that on hold. And the Premiere deal kind of satisfies all of that. We just want a platform that we could stream Squared Circle Expo stuff 24/7. We could use it to branch off into other things. You know, moving forward, we want to do more local promoted things. Kind of do like Squared Circle Expo Presents, and then have some local showcases like in Cincinnati or Indianapolis, showing off some of the local talent, kind of putting our brand behind it to see if we could push that forward. You know, there was talks of a podcast as well. So all of those things, all of those ideas, Premiere told us they would be interested in supporting, in addition to the convention, in addition to doing a pay-per-view behind the Squared Circle Expo event on Saturday night, and also archiving some of our other stuff. So they, you know, they kind of made a pitch. They showed us a deal. They made us an offer, and we really liked it. And we're really excited to be able to bring Squared Circle Expo to people that might not be able to attend the show. That maybe haven't heard of us, but have heard of a lot of the other brands that they represent, like CZW is on Premiere, WrestlePro is on Premiere, Wrestle One is on there. I mean, they have all these brands. The Major Players podcast is on there. Bobby Fish's podcast is on there. So they've got so many brands in the wrestling world, and we're super excited to be a part of them, because for fans of these other brands that go on there, maybe they haven't heard of Squared Circle Expo, but they'll get that little recommendation of, hey, if you like this, you might want to check out Squared Circle Expo. You might want to check out their content. And the way that Premiere does it, there's a lot of cross promotion, so that it's not just focused on one hot property or whoever the big name is or whatever the pay-per-view they're trying to sell is. They're trying to promote everybody equally. And they're trying to compensate everybody equally. So we really found that to be attractive, and just their enthusiasm for what we were trying to do. We felt they understood us better than anyone else. And so we're with Premiere.
That's great, man. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Like that you guys, you know, are growing like that. And I love, you know, I love it when, cause there's a lot of shows out there, and I'm not going to name, but they just kind of seem very like, not necessarily stale, but they don't really, they're in their comfort zone. If you get what I'm saying, like they don't want to really do more or push more, and they've become so big that they just don't want to, like, they just like, okay, we're comfortable making this much money. You guys, you know, granted, you guys are a business. Obviously, you're here to make money, but there's some shows out there that you get that feel of we're just here to make money, whereas you guys are not like that. You guys, granted, you're trying to make money. You're also trying to provide the best experience possible that you can give to the pro wrestling community. Whether there are people like, you know, the three of us here, or all of us here, who grew up watching wrestling. You know, we've been watching it for 30 some years. to those who are new to pro wrestling itself, there's something for everyone, and that's something that I really appreciate that you guys are trying to do. Now, last year,
you know, if I can, before we go to the next, can I jump on that making money part?
Absolutely.
You're absolutely right. You know, nobody puts in 6 months worth of work to not make money, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
you don't do all this to lose your ass. But one thing that I kind of want to say that I love about what we're doing with Squared Circle Expo, and I've been on both sides. I used to do 4 shows a year with a different company.
Yeah,
and that was my number one income source. That's how I put money, food on the table. That's how I paid the rent. That's how I did everything. And Squirt, right now, Squirt Circle Expo doesn't pay my bills. I have a really stable career. I have a career that, I'm not balling. I'm in animal welfare, so I'm not balling. But I have one of those rare positions in animal welfare that I'm doing okay. I'm not lacking for things. My wife has a pretty good.
You live a very comfortable life.
So together we pay the bills comfortably. Same with Ed and Heather. Yeah. So what I say that to say, we don't need to make decisions with Squared Circle Expo that become about dollars and cents. And when that's true, it opens up a whole other sort of freedom that you don't get when you're like, not to drag on too far on this point, because some people probably find it boring as hell. But when I was doing this kind of work for a living, every show becomes about, all right, we need to sell X amount of tickets and make X amount of profit, or else I'm not paying my bills until the next one. So every decision starts to become, all right, is that the most profitable decision we can make? Is that going to bring in the most money? And then when you're talking about production values, do we really want to spend $2,000 or $3,000 to make the show look better, to give fans a better experience? Or can we just keep that and give them an okay experience? And the fact that we don't have to rely on Squared Circle Expo to pay any bills, it's just pure extra.
Yeah.
Makes it really fun. We can book what we want to book. You obviously book people that are going to be popular, but one thing that Ed and I have wanted to do since the first show is a BWO reunion. And I don't know how many tickets that sold or is going to sell or what, but we wanted to do it. So it happened. It's getting done. Same with, great. ECW. We're like, hey, we want to have a bigger ECW representation next year because that's what we like. And so we have it.
Yeah.
You don't have to think of, well, maybe we should get somebody more current. Maybe we should do somebody more safe, more mainstream.
Yep.
You can just book what you want to book.
Yeah.
You can provide the best experience possible. And then if you make money, that's cool too.
For sure.
But it's not the be all end all. And having that kind of freedom to just have fun with it and the kind of show we want to do, it's awesome. I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. I wouldn't do this for a living ever again, just because I'm having so much fun with Squared Circle Expo the way we're doing it now. I would hate for it to become a job.
Yeah.
One thing I like about SCX, and this is really coming from my personal opinion, when I went last year, you had people from every genre. You had people from the 80s, the 90s, ECW, and then some of the new era. It's like you don't get that these days in our area. But when you bring in Adolfo and Ed does it, I was like, it makes me feel great. And I was talking to people like, I guess he wrestled from when I was a kid, like Lex Luger, I was like, and then you get Ethan Page, you get Hangman Adam Page, and all of them. It's like, I like that. And I'm glad you're bringing that to this area, Adolfo, and I have respect for you.
Yeah, a little bit of everything for everyone,
man. It's a nice
something to please everyone.
You guys got a nice bit of flavor. Let's put it that way. You got a nice variety for everyone. There's
like ice cream.
There's gonna be something for everyone. And just to add on to what you said, then we'll kind of move past that. But when you are able to do a show and it's not about the finances, that's when I feel the show really is gonna hit on all cylinders, if you will. And you guys are absolutely showing that with every show you do. So let's get into the shows you guys are going to have. So this year, unlike last year, you guys there's 2 wrestling cards. You've got the Friday one, that's going to be the Black Label one. Shout out to those guys, by the way. That's cool. Did they come to you, or was that like how did that happen?
Yeah, I had to kind of like ask Ed before coming on here just to remind myself of how that went down, because it sort of happened. It was a little bit of a blur how it happened, but it was kind of one of those like amazing chance circumstances. So taking it back to last year when we were at the VIP party, we were a little overexcited. We were a little over high on the crowd's vibe and how well everything was going, and
for sure,
and we may have had a drink or two. And so literally while we were on that stage giving things away, shouting out the crowd, doing raffles, I'm kind of talking to Ed, off on the side, like, hey man, so what are we gonna do? How are we gonna top this next year? Two nights of wrestling? Can we do that? Yeah, let's commit to it. Let's go.
Do it. Yeah.
And so 2 nights of wrestling it was. And then the summer passes and it comes time to like start planning Squared Circle 3.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh shit. We committed to 2 nights of wrestling, didn't we? Do you think people remember that? And it was like, no, we put it out there. We got to do it now. And so we started kind of thinking, do we want to program 2 nights of wrestling, or would it be cooler to work with another promotion that we're fans of?
Yeah.
And so we were like, well, let's see who's out there. Let's see who would be interested in this.
Yeah.
And we had a very like short list of people that we would allow to take over a night at Squared Circle, because we didn't just want to give it to anybody. We wanted the product that they put out to be equal to what we're going to put out. It's the only way it would be.
Absolutely.
And Black Label Pro is not only like one of the few names on that short list, they were like at the top. And so we were like, do you think they would, I don't know if they'd be interested. It'd be cool. Let's try to reach out. And they actually reached out first. We were sort of in the process of let's reach out and see if they'd be interested. And they hit up Ed and said, hey, I don't know if you guys would be interested in having us do Friday, but I was like, it worked. It couldn't have worked more perfectly. Like we were super digging them. We love their product. We've been following them for years.
Yeah.
We were really wanting to be able to work with them. And it turns out they felt the same.
That's great.
So it came together real quickly. And so they're doing,
it's beautiful.
Yeah, they're doing their own show on Friday night. Tickets are available through their website.
Yeah.
www.blpscx.com.
Yep.
And you do need admission to the expo to get in.
Yep.
But it's a phenomenal show. And those guys put on a great product.
Yeah, for sure. We'll definitely be sure to, at the bottom here in the description, we'll have all those links for their event. Obviously, for Squared Circle Expo to still be able to purchase tickets and everything else that you need to know, we're going to have all those links down here below for you guys to go check that out. So let's talk about Retribution, you guys' show, Saturday night, the big one there. You guys have some, man, I'm looking at these matches, and you guys went, man, you definitely went way all out. So we're going to have the inaugural SCX Women's Championship. This is going to be interesting. You guys are doing what's called the Hateful 8 Scramble. So you've got 8 participants here. You've got Heather Owens is going to be in this one, Shauna Reed, Marty Bell, Haley Shadows. Looks like we've got Kilden King, Allison Kay, Ari Alexander, and Freya the Slayer. I'm very familiar with quite a bit of those names. That's going to be exciting. That's going to be a big one there. And then you've got, Crazy Steve and Carlito taking on Matt Taylor and Hooks, PSK versus Myron Reed. And then the main event, you got the SCX champ, Jake Oman taking on Matt Cardona. That's the second. That's the rematch from last year. So when it comes to putting you guys' own show on, what is that all about, man? What's that like for you guys, to try to top the year before in that? I mean, I know you got a women's title coming up here, which is great. That's an addition. I know there's a tag team match too. You got a triple threat tag team match, I do believe, coming up as well. What is that like for you guys? I know that Ed's more of the promoter, the booker, if you will. Is that something you kind of leave to him, or how much of the say do you have in that as well?
Yeah, for the most part, I let him do that. He's the. I think I understand it from like a fan's perspective, and I think he understands it from having done it. So as far as all of the logistical decisions, and I mean, he'll put that together.
That's awesome.
That's his wheelhouse. He's very experienced in that. He will kind of, like every step of the way pitch ideas like, hey, I'm thinking of doing this. What do you think?
Yeah.
And just kind of gauge my reaction as a fan. Like, the Lord Crew All This matchup was one that, I'm super excited about. And, we kind of mentioned a couple of different people, and, it was like, oh shit, we should definitely do that. That's going to be really awesome. And then, for the tag team match, what do you think about doing a triple threat? We'll do the Soul Shooters. We'll do the Veteran and Timmy Lutz. And it's like, yeah, let's do that. And so there is a back and forth, but for the most part, I trust Ed to kind of put that together. And he's done a phenomenal job. And there's really no complaints from me in that department. As far as like Omen Cardona Part 2, it's gonna be no DQ. So fans are promised a clean finish, no shenanigans.
There were shenanigans.
Omen has been a little shady, but that ends in April.
We're looking forward to all that, man. Like you guys put together just a great top to bottom show. And like although I cover the show and I'll be covering the show, I still am a fan, right? And I'm even excited, and I always get excited for who you guys are gonna announce. You do these great like teaser announcements, like the Royal Rumble. You guys kept like saying, "Hey, hit this many likes, we'll keep going." So the way you guys present this whole thing, top to bottom, is just an amazing experience, and it's great for the Midwest to have another show to be able to go to, and especially for the city of Indianapolis too. Indianapolis had WrestleMania many years ago. Maybe one day we'll get another one there. I hope, but to give them something like that is a fantastic thing. And speaking of Indianapolis, I wanted to ask you, has there ever been any talks of taking Squared Circle Expo to multiple cities, maybe doing like another SCX in the year, doing more than one show? I know before you had kind of been like, hey, we're just going to try to keep this a one show deal. Has that changed at all over the course of the last year for you guys?
Last year, the answer was hell no.
Yeah.
This year, still no plans to do a second show, but I feel like the conversations warmed up to that a little bit. We've certainly got a lot more support from, our various sponsors, with Premier behind us. I think there's definitely a lot more we can do. We've been making a lot of relationships with people all over the Midwest. Tri-State Wrestling has been somebody we've worked with a lot. BLP, we're adding on for the first time this time around. So I feel like we're making a lot of really good relations. I mean, even GCW, we're doing something with them. They're actually going to be helping us put together the pay-per-view. So those guys, they know a thing or two about putting together some pretty awesome pay-per-views.
They're
the ones that are going to kind of help us do the filming and putting that together logistically as well. So I feel like we've been making all these relationships along the path of the third show that would make considering a second show a little bit more palatable. That being said, we don't need to do it. It's not a money thing. It's not, we don't need to pay the bills. So at the end of the day, and this is the best feeling to have, if we do a second show, it'll be because we want to. And because we think that we could do something, for the fans that'll be just as good as the first one. And it'd just be kind of finding another city with another venue that would make sense. Ohio, we have a lot of friends in Ohio. So like a place like Columbus or Cleveland would make a lot of sense. Cleveland would make my wife very happy because we could tie it into visiting her family, my in-laws at the same time. That's where they live. But it would just kind of come down to, can we do something that's just as good, because you don't want to water it down. You don't want to do a second one or a third one just
Sure.
for the sake of doing it, just for a cash grab. That's not what we're about.
Mm-hmm.
And then, do we want to give up another weekend of our lives to doing a show? So having that freedom is great, and it's something that we're definitely considering a little bit more than we did last year, but still, time will tell.
Sure. And I also wanted to throw in too, I know you guys have always kept the show a 2-day. Is there ever a plan to go into Sunday and make it a 3-day show, or are you guys fine with it just staying at 2 days for now?
I'm good with it being 2 days. To be honest with you, we have the hotel for all 3 days. If they're giving you Friday and Saturday, they really can't do anything with that space on Sunday.
Right.
So, I mean, we're paying for it.
Right.
But Sundays at a convention always kind of felt like such a downer to me. Like everybody's like shuffling out like zombies. You're hungover. You've already expended all this energy and excitement. That Sunday feels so anticlimactic. It kind of feels like it just feels sad, and it's like every convention that you go to, Sunday just feels sad. And I don't know. I like going in 2 days. Friday rocks, Saturday rocks more. You end on the rink show.
Of course,
you're going out on a high note.
Yeah.
It's exciting. And then Sunday is when you go back home and you start thinking about the next show.
Yeah.
But we, it just, I don't know. Sunday always just kind of felt like a sad trombone to me, and I don't want to.
Sure, I get that. I think that you're absolutely right. I just went to a expo, arcade expo a few weeks ago, and the Sunday, I mean, we were there Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday was just like a drag, kind of.
Right. And I mean, don't get me wrong.
Not that it's
when I used to go to bigger shows in Chicago, like for C2E2 or Wizard World or whatever.
Sure.
The only way I would go is Sunday, because I mean, those shows get a little too crazy for me.
Right.
I'm not a big crowds person. I don't like to be asses and elbows, just kind of fighting my way to some action figures or whatever I'm looking to do, getting some comic books. So for something like that, I think
a Sunday makes sense.
Yeah, a Sunday makes sense, and they certainly have enough of a draw to, warrant that. But I think for a show like for what we do, you keep it lean, mean, and all business, and leave Sunday out of it. Sunday's for everyone to rest.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's perfect because as you said, I mean, if you're gonna have a show on Saturday, end it. What do you really do on Sunday? I mean,
what do you do on Sunday?
What is there to? How do you follow that? You know what I'm saying? So like to have a like a night 1 and a night 2 of SCX, and then end it with your big show and have a big match. Everybody's going home happy, and no one's like just walking around and kind of dragging around and then leaving.
I feel like it would be like you have, when you have like a big WrestleMania show or a SummerSlam or something, and then the main event, and you have it, and the finish is just awesome, and the crowd couldn't be hotter, and then you do like 2 dark matches that nobody wanted to see.
Yeah,
and it just falls flat. And it's like, why didn't you just end it on the high note?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think adding Sunday after, as especially last year, as hot as we ended last Saturday.
It was hot
last time. Doing anything, like, we were done. That was it. You didn't need to do anything more.
Yeah.
So left all in anticipation.
Yeah. So just so you guys know, I'm looking here. So you guys can still get tickets now. You can go to squarecirclex.com. Go pick up some tickets to this show. Whether you go all weekend, I recommend going both days. I mean, just do it. You don't know what you're gonna miss. You might miss something. You never know. Go both days. But you've got Friday is from 4 to 10 p.m. and there's stuff going on up until 1 a.m. And then Saturday is the big day. Of course, you got 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. And for some reason, if you guys can't make it, you can go watch the event on the Premier Streaming Network as well. Now, are they going to also be showing both the Black Label Pro and the Retribution events on there as well, Adolfo?
So they can't show the Black Label Pro because that's on. So Fight will carry the Black Label Pro show.
Perfect.
Cool.
But what you can catch is that they're going to have a couple of different packages. They're going to have like the panels, the Q&A panels, which we'll have 9 of them throughout the weekend.
Nice.
4 on Saturday, 4 on Friday, 5 on Saturday.
Yes.
You can buy a package with just the panels. You can buy a package with just the ring show, or and it's the best value, you can buy a package with both the ring show and the panels, and they'll have like some bonus content in between and stuff. So it really is like, if you can't make the convention and you really want to see it from start to finish each day, you could totally do that.
That's amazing. That's such a good idea. I'm glad that you guys have decided to take your show to online, because I know a few years ago when we were going through this whole pandemic thing, there was a lot of convention promoters out there who were like, what the hell do we do? I mean, we can't do anything in person. So I know a few people did that, but now you guys are using that as a means for, like you said, people who just simply can't make it or can't attend and they don't want to miss out. That's amazing, man. I'm glad that
and
you
I'll
guys
be honest with you. I'll be honest with you. I wasn't really, I kind of wasn't really a fan of a lot of the virtual conventions. I kind of when that was going on, because I'm like an in-person guy, you know.
It wasn't the same.
Like, you know, if you want to see a concert, like I want to see the concert in person. I don't want to see it in the movie theater. I don't want to see it on TV. I feel like something should just be experienced in person. But what changed my mind was seeing the production for StarCast and Ric Flair's Last Match. And I think they did such a good job with that.
That was great.
And now they want to do the same with Squared Circle Expo, and they kind of shot their ideas to us as to how they're going to make it so you're almost there.
Yeah.
And it feels like, you know, I'm sold. I'm happy with it.
Yeah, man. And just to give you guys a little taste of what you guys can expect, there's, you know, like Friday, there's the whole damn show where you get a panel with RVD. I know there is you get a WWE Legends panel 5 p.m. on April the 7th. You're going to have like Tito Santana, Tatanka, Gray Valentine, Fred Ottoman, and Jimmy Hart. Saturday, you're getting this is what I'm really looking forward to, is the 30th anniversary ECW panel. That's going to be awesome.
ECW.
That's awesome. And then you got, you know, Women of Wrestling panel, WWE Attitude panel, and the list goes on and on. So, I mean, you guys can find all of this information. There's going to be a link down in the bottom below where you can go to squaredcirclex.com. You can look up the schedule. You can look up the full list of guests. Purchase your tickets and everything else you need to do. Go there. And thank you so much, Adolfo, for taking the time, man, to come on our show again. We look forward to coming there to cover the show and show people what the vendors are going to be and things like that. Give people a little bit of a walkthrough of what they, you know, didn't miss. But if you don't see that, please, by all means, if you can't attend, definitely do so via the Premier Streaming Network too, which offers a really great way to catch all of those panels I just mentioned and more, as Adolfo had said. But thank you, Adolfo, for coming on. We love having you on here, man. We love talking with you guys about Squared Circle Expo. Look forward to being there as well. And until next time, guys, we'll see you guys. Take it easy, guys.
Right on. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Awesome.
Peace.